Bear with us on this one. We're here to talk about a bag in Formula One. This doesn't happen very often, but Ferrari has recently been the centre of a lot of speculation in the F1 paddock about a little bag it's been placing on top of its onboard camera on the roll hoop of the car. Ferrari says it's for cooling purposes, to keep the camera cool. I didn't know that onboard cameras could overheat, frankly. But before the Italian Grand Prix, they were told no longer could they do that, and the bag is gone. So we're going to mourn the loss of the bag by discussing what on earth it was about. I've got Autosport's F1 reporters Ben Anderson and Scott Mitchell with me. Scott, I don't think any of us buy that it was cooling the onboard camera or that that was its purpose, but suggestions that maybe Ferrari were up to something untoward here would also be wide of the mark, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it'd be a curious way for them to try and flout the rules or gain some kind of weird competitive advantage. Not really sure how important the ECU of the onboard camera really is. But that's basically the crux of it. When the FIA confirmed to us that they weren't that they were not going to be allowed to use it anymore, they pointed out that the request came from F1 itself. It wasn't a rules thing. It was because it was blocking the onboard camera. So it seems to be completely above board, but just classic F1 where there's no smoke without fire. So everyone's assuming that there's something nefarious at play.
Now, Ben, Ferrari's response to not being able to use the bag anymore was to place an umbrella over the camera instead. So maybe the umbrella will get banned next. But is this just, as Scott says, this is just a simple case of covering up a TV feed, which is what F1's not happy about. And that's not about getting around any rules, but it could be about maybe keeping a secret from your opposition.
Yeah, absolutely. Formula One teams like to deflect attention all the time from the things they're doing, things they don't want their rivals to pick up on. I presume in this case, because the bag and then the umbrella have been used to cover the TV feed before the car's running. Obviously, we haven't seen the car going round with this bag on top of the camera or with an umbrella in the cockpit. They're trying to deflect attention from some kind of preparation that they make to the car before it runs. What that is, we don't know, but it won't be anything more nefarious than that. What I always find interesting is the teams like to deflect attention from what they're doing, but all the teams spend an inordinate amount of time trying to spy on the other teams and find out what they're doing anyway. So usually there aren't that many secrets in Formula One, even though all teams like to try and maintain that there are.
It feels fairly simple because the FIA pointed out that if it's about regulating the temperature of the ECU, then it's fine. They'll keep an eye on the temperatures along with FOM, and if it's a problem, they'll reintroduce the bag. And the FIA also points out that if it's anything on the steering, on the dash or anything like that, the FIA knows everything about that Ferrari dash anyway, so it's completely above board and legal. It's just, yeah, it might just be about hiding something from your opposition. So classic F1 mountain out of a molehill, I think, and it's certainly nowhere near as bad as all of the legality checks they had to go through at the start of the year of their engine and their energy recovery systems.
What do we think happened to the bag after it was removed from its vantage point on top of the camera? Did it end up in the cockpit, cooling the driver? What do you think?
I've laid to rest, I hope, given an appropriate send-off for all of the amusement and interest it's generated over the last few weeks, which is, as you said at the beginning, really bizarre for something as technical and complex as F1 to be dominated by a bag of ice.
Oh, it's certainly F1's most famous bag. I think we can all agree that.